Welcome to Backstrap Overlay Part 3. In Part 1 we reglued the peg head to the neck. In Part 2 we carved away the transition between the headstock and the barrel, fit a new piece of mahogany and carved it to add mass to the notoriously weak section of the Gibson neck design. If you missed either of those videos, the links will be in the description. In this video, Part 3, we're going to be touching up the color of the backstrap. Hope you enjoy the video. Do that like and subscribe thing if you feel like it. Little bit of Zinsser shellac applied with a paper towel to seal the bare wood before pour filler. Blue tape to keep the pour filler off the binding. Stay away from that 3M edge lock, it'll eat your finish. This is an oil-based pour filler. When I do touch-up, I try and get as close to the original finish schedule as possible. I spent some time looking at the guitar, and I know enough about Gibson manufacturing to consider it a safe bet that they pour filled with an oil-based pour filler. If you're ever in doubt, you can try and call the manufacturer. No one is more eager to talk on the phone than someone trying to build guitars for a living. Side note, my wife gets really suspicious when I ask her which spoon she would consider to be the worst. Oil-based pour filler thins with naphtha. The viscosity will affect how the project takes the color of the pour filler. While I have an oil-based pour filler, I don't feel like I have the exact right color. I'm going to add some red pigment and some black pigment. You're going to want to stir this about 5 billion times. I exaggerate 1 trillion times a day. I'm applying the pour filler with a cheap metal acid brush I picked up at Home Depot. Oil-based pour filler and nitrocellulose lacquer barely get along, and without care, adhesion issues can arise. I'm not being hyper precise, but I am trying to avoid slopping pour filler onto the original finish for this reason. That's why partway through you see me switch to a smaller brush and try to edge into those lines of original finish. It's the little things in finish that can add up and drive you crazy. This is a time lapse of the pour filler gassing off. How long you leave the pour filler on really determines what kind of color you're going to get from the pour filler. So something to keep in mind if you leave it overnight. Of course, it's going to get very dark. I'm going to remove the excess pour filler with some red Scotch-Brite going against the grain to start off with. I don't want to pull that pour filler back out of the pores. You absolutely have to let oil-based pour filler sit overnight. Remember how I was saying that nitrocellulose lacquer and oil-based pour filler don't really see eye to eye? That's why I'm going back over it with some Zinsser shellac, and then I'm going to braid that shellac sealer coat over the pour filler with some more red Scotch-Brite. Ever notice how electrical tape looks suspiciously like automotive fine line tape? It works really well as an edge lock for airbrushing. Protect your thinking cap. I like the StewMac aerosol lacquer as a medium for airbrushing. I'm going to be mixing the color tone red dye and the color tone black dye into the epoxy mixing cups. 2 drops of red, and a microskosh of black. I've torn up a paper towel at different angles to act as kind of a furry mask. I want to be able to blend the lacquer in and not have any really hard lines. If I was to use a crisp piece of paper, I might not get that nice transition. I'm going to have to come back and edge anyway, but this torn paper towel is really a leg up on getting a nice smooth transition between the new finish and the old finish. If you notice, I've left the peghead face unmasked. I have pulled so much finish unexpectedly off of guitars with tape that I very rarely ever mask anything off anymore. I just try to kind of be conscious of where my overspray is going, and pointing it in the direction of the fan, and kind of getting the overspray out of the way of whatever I feel is a better strategy than taping off at this point. Sprayed some clear on it to see what kind of edging I got to do, and I'm going to throw some tuners on there and see if there's any little overlap I need to deal with, and just kind of get a sense of what I might do to kind of dress this thing out and finish it up. I'd like to thank my pal Nathan Jr. for the music for this video. Links to hear more of his jams are in the description. This concludes part 3. Part 4 is going to be edging the color we just applied, touching up the face of the peg head, clear coating and buffing, and finishing out the guitar. See you all next time.